Hello, welcome to my new channel. I have just got a new game called Final Girl. I think it's originally a Kickstarter game. It is basically based on the movie trope that you are being chased by some mad killer and you are the final girl left, fighting for your life, trying to survive, and well, that's it really. You got to try and survive. I'm going to do a quick game and I will run you through the setup and show you a few rounds, and then if you've got any questions you can ask them in the comments. So this is a solo board game. It's built purely for one player, which is great, I think, especially if you've got time to yourself, you want to play. You don't have anyone around that can play with you, it makes it useful. But also because it's not a multiplayer with a solo bolt-on, it's much more focused around the solo player experience. So setting it up, it looks like there's a lot of cards. I'll just pan around, you'll see the game board. It looks a lot, but it doesn't take long to get your head around it. It's just basically shuffling a lot of cards that randomize how you're gonna play, like the event setup, which I'm going to draw the top card, and it's going to tell me meditation hour. So that gives me the layout of where I am as the killer, the player starts, where the killer starts, and the numbers is how many other people are in the camp who are basically victims. They are fodder for the bad guy. So with each game you get 2 final girls that you can choose to be. This game is rock solid. It's really hard to win, but 5th attempt I won with her last time. So this time I'm going to attempt to play and win with Ryko, because I want to open this for Ryko's eyes only. It says, do not open until you've survived the game with Ryko. So, I won with Laurie last time. I opened her little envelope and got a special thing. I won't give any spoilers. But this time, I want to see what she gets, if I can survive. This is Camp Happy Trails, where basically like a summer camp for teens. And we are fighting against the mad butcher called Hans. Now, there's 2 cards because you have a bunch for his bottom half, 3 for his top half, which you shuffle and put on the board in his sort of character slot, and that will randomize what kind of end game results you're going to get from him and what kind of special ability he might trigger for himself if the bloodlust meter goes up, which is a tracker based on how many people get killed. That raises every time someone dies, which makes horrible things for me if he gets stronger from it, or faster, or both. You then have a deck of tarot cards which have lots of different things that affect the killer on his turn, which you turn over and it will affect his strength, his speed, some other thing like the horror level, which is basically how crazy he's getting, how scary it's getting, which also determines how many dice you get to roll to enact your own actions. So the less horror, more dice. The more horrified you become, you get down to using only 1 dice for a roll, and they have blanks. That means you can trade 2 cards for a win, or the stars is a win for whatever you're trying to do. So like the item card you have, 2 stars means I'd pass, 1 star would mean I'd get a sort of medium-ish, okay-ish sort of ability, and if you get blank or the trade option and you don't want to trade or can't, then you get a penalty. So the more dice the better, otherwise it becomes quite tricky to win. You also have event cards, which have various different things which affect the gameplay. You start the game by drawing the top one to see what happens. Girlfriend. She's cute, funny, and the biggest badass I've ever known. The victim closest to you is now your girlfriend. She will follow you into the killer space. While she is in your space, roll +1 dice for each horror roll. If the girlfriend dies in your space, oh my gosh, that scares how much the horror level goes up, which is basically maximum. Well, that's going to make the game interesting. So I'm about finished setting up. You start with the hand of cards which have the 0 in the corner, which is time, and here, I can get the camera down there. So this is the tracker. This is the time you have, which you need to perform actions. If you run out of time, you can't do anything. That's your horror level. The better it is, the more dice you get. The higher the horror, the less dice you get. Start on 4. That's my health tracker. So my card tells me I get 6. Hans is a beast, and he starts with 12 health, which makes it very difficult to kill him. This is the bloodlust, so the more people that get killed, the higher that goes, which triggers different things here with how much he can move, like his speed, how much damage he can do, and whether the horror level goes up, or the dark power, which is when you flip this card and it gives him an extra benefit. And now the other board set up with all the people. The white meeple is the special one from the event, my girlfriend in this. You've got items up here, which is what you can search on different spots of the board. And this is a tableau of cards which you can purchase using the time markers, and they all have different amounts on the bottom. So for example, here's one called Retaliate, which has a 4 time, which would cost me to buy. So the more time I use, the less I'm going to be able to buy more abilities and helpful things like a search, sprint, Furious Strike, which is useful for fighting the killer. And there we go. I'm going to get into it. I'll position the camera so you can see the game better and do a few rounds so you can see how it plays. So there's 5 phases. Action phase, where you get to do an action card. Planning phase, where you get to purchase more if you can and sort out any other discarded one. You do the killer phase, where you turn over the terror card and do anything that tells you to do, and do any of the killer actions as well. Like here it tells you what you can do, so he'll focus on someone, and if they're close enough, he will kill them. Panic phase, if someone dies near the killer in the same area, you do panic, where you have to roll dice and see how they freak out and where they run off to based on the numbers on the board. Then you do upkeep, so you can rearrange your items if you got any, and if you run out of terror cards, you reveal the top card of the bad guy, which is the finale, which will be some kind of extra ability for him, just to give it that stronger finish, just to make it a bit more harder. So we start with an action phase. So play action cards. I am here. I can rescue people by going into the space they follow me and going back to one of the green exit parts. If I save them, I get to put their meeple on my card, and whichever one I choose, and it will give me, is it focusing? I don't know, different abilities or bonuses by doing that. And if I fill them all up, I can flip the card and I get my special ability on the back. So firstly, I will try and use my walk action. It's a 0 card, it costs me no time to use it, but I still got to get the right dice roll. 2 stars, we'll get these 2 moves, and I got 2 blanks, so you know, that's a good start, which means I can lose 2 time, or I can sacrifice a health to move 1 space. And in this case, I think I will just lose the 2 time. I will leave it there because I don't want to use my other walk, and keep the time so I can try and buy more cards for the next round, which is now planning phase because my action phase is over. I can purchase action cards, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 time spots left, so I can buy a card for 4 or up to 4. I'm going to take Furious Strike for 4, which gives me a chance to hurt the killer. So each yellow explosion is how much damage you do to him, which is 1. So the top one will be 2 attacks. So I'll take that. That moves my time down to 0, and that means I can't do anything else. Whatever's left from here goes back into here for the next round. And now the killer phase is resolved, so on his card it tells you what he does. So that means he focuses on the nearest person or final girl, and if they're in his space he will kill them. He can't walk on that bit because there's no boot icon, but the tarot cards could get him moving. So the top one is exactly that, and it gives you a little narrative. Hans wants me, he's always wanted me, and that means he focuses on the final girl only. He'll move 2 boots, which is based on his movement speeds on his track, which at the moment 1 boot equals 1 space. And if he gets to me, he gets to do 1 damage, or 1 attack, which gives 2 damage in this case. So he will move, he's over here, he's on the lake at the moment, just chilling. So he will move 1, 2, as far as he can go. There's no one there, so he doesn't kill anyone. I'm not there, so he doesn't attack me. That's his go done. Panic phase. If a victim was killed this turn, everyone panics. No one was killed, thankfully. Upkeep phase. Rearrange items. I don't have any. Still got tarot cards, so we don't do the final round finale. So it's right back round to the action phase. So that's basically the gist of the game, and you just repeat those steps until you're dead, or the killer's dead. Or in rare cases, you both die at the same time, which counts as a win because you technically sacrificed yourself for the greater good. Getting to any of those points is pretty hard. Like I said, he's got 12 health. He does a lot more damage than you can often do, unless you can search and get some items. The only chance I actually won last time was because I managed to get an axe, which did a lot of damage. I had something else, which I can't remember what it was now, but it modified it and gave me some extra damage. And I managed to do some other damage to him throughout the game, which I got some lucky dice rolls to knock his health down a bit. And came right down to it. I had like 2 health left. The Bloodlust was right at the top, which means he did 5 damage per attack. And if he got an attack card, but if he had managed to hit me, that would have been me dead. He was down to 1 health, and I had this card, which is Retaliate. Blue cards you can use in his attack phase as like a reflex defense, which you can play. And if I get 2 star dice, I can ignore all his damage, and I do 2 damage to him. So in that round, he attacked me. It would have been a final blow to me. I rolled, I got 1 star and 1 blank. And it would have, so 1 star would have reduced his damage by 2 and still done 1 attack to him. But I didn't have enough hearts left that even 2 attacks against 2 damage to me would have killed me. But what you can do is when you land on one of these, that means you can trade 2 cards in your hand to turn that into a winning star, which is what I did, which meant I could then do the top retaliate, which ignored all his damage, did 2 damage to him and killed him. It was a very close call. I had sweaty palms by the end of the game. And also when you get down to the end, your last health token for the final girl and the killer is one of these tokens, which means that when all your little wooden hearts are gone and then you get down to your last one, you get that one taken, you flip it over to see if you're really dead or if the killer's really dead. So that is one last thing that could happen. So we've got any that's gone from the other side. So he was down to his last. I retaliated, knocked him down, and if it had flipped and shown that, that means he would have regained 3 more hearts, sprung back to life, and carried on in that true horror film style of you think the killer's dead, but then suddenly they jump back up even when they've got knives in their back or whatever, and they still manage to get that last final blow in. Thankfully, in my last game, I turned it over, it was blank, so he was really dead, and I won. And I think I was the only survivor. Everyone else died. Oh, I know, I rescued 5 people, so that was alright. But yeah, it was a good game. And this is a very good game, it's very thematic. And the best part is, so this is Happy Trails, which is based on a camp. But what you do, there's different boxes with different games, different girls, different killers for different scenarios. And it's all styled in like the old VCR videotapes. So each box is like a video box. It's like you're plugging in the video to watch the horror film, but instead you're playing it. It's very clever, very well done. I would highly recommend it. So if you liked this sort of quick playthrough, quick review, give me a like, give me a comment, let me know if you want more like this. I'm probably just going to make them anyway because I played the games anyway, so I thought I may as well video some and let people vicariously play with me. I'll do a few more rounds and I'll show you how it's ended up. So stay with me to see what happens. Okay, so it's only been a few minutes since I last put the camera off, but the next terror card was this, which says, "What's that noise? Let's go and see." In true horror film fashion, when you're shouting at the TV going, "Why would you do that? You know something weird's going on, people are dying. Why would you go and investigate something scary in a dark place?" But basically, all victims move 1 space towards the closest enemy. And because everyone was pretty close together as it was, it has now meant that the girlfriend token and 2 other people are all stood with the killer now. And part of his next part of his turn, after they all move, is he focuses on the nearest final girl or victim and then attacks them, which basically means they die because they're weak, they have no health. And then he will walk towards the next nearest person. So he's going to kill someone, which means they go into this dead pile. It also means the bloodlust token here goes up 1, which at this point doesn't really affect anything. It's still 2 attacks for him and 1 movement speed. It's only when it gets up to here that it starts getting a bit dicey. So I can see this game's probably going to end pretty quickly. Okay, so it's near the end game now. It's not been going great for the victims. There is 2, 3, 4, 6, 7 people dead. I've rescued 2. 3 people remain. One of them is in front of the killer. I'm in front of the killer. I have an aluminium bat. He has since regained all his health, plus 2 extra because he's got his dark power. And I mean, he's got a minor dark power, Unholy Rage, which gives him extra damage, plus 2 extra health. He's also revealed his dark power, which is Feed, which for every victim he kills, he recovers a heart. So even if he didn't have full health, he would have done by now. I don't have much choice, but I did manage to purchase the Critical Blow, which is the strongest attack card in the game. So providing I get a good roll, I can do 3 damage to him. Well, plus the bat, which will give me 4 damage, and it would remove his power and the 2 extra health. So I have a plan, just not sure how well it's going to turn out. So I thought I'd put the camera back on for the end game. Oops. And let's see how it goes. So here I am, here's the killer, here's a victim who's just not doing very well because I got an extra event called Death Wish, which means during the upkeep phase of the round, every person who's nearest the killer moves 1 space towards him, which meant this person fled when the last person died in panic, and then that triggered and they ran straight back to the killer. So I am also out of terror cards, which means after this the finale is revealed. So we're here for an exciting bit, and I'm on my action. I'm in front of the killer, which means I am going to, oh no, can I play it? I have planned, not planned very well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't have enough time to do the critical blow. I don't have, oh dear, I've not thought this through. Okay, I'm going to try and focus to gain some time. I need to get ideally 2 stars, and I got 2 blanks, which is absolutely useless. I can't even trade cards for it, which means all I do is lose 2 time and gain nothing. I guess all I can do is I can play the weak attack, which isn't very helpful. But it costs me nothing. All I need to do is get 2 stars, and I got nothing. I can trade 2 cards for a win. Have I got anything I can trade? Yes, I'll trade those 2 cards to get a win, which gives me, on my weak attack, that gives me this one. So I get to attack him for 1, but I also lose health myself, which is not a great trade, but at least I feel like I've done something. But I also got the bat actually, so that gives me 2 attacks. And because I hit him with my bat, his minor dot power disappears with his health, and then he loses 2 health on top of that. So he has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He has got 10 health. Now I have 5 health. I have the critical blow, but I don't have enough time to pay for it. Planning gives me extra dice, but I don't have enough time. I am not doing very well. So that is my turn over. Planning phase, purchase cards. I've got 3 time, so I will buy a guard for 2, so at least I can defend myself in the next turn when he inevitably attacks. Do 1 less, so I'll get the close call, which is I can re-roll if I need to. Right, so that's the planning phase over. Oh, I can take the freebie. Let's put this back over here. And now reset the time. Killer phase. Okay, so he targets a closest person, which is this yellow guy. He attacks, which means he is dead. The bloodlust goes up, which means he does 4 damage. He moved 2. It also triggers this mask, which means the horror level increases, but thankfully not enough. I still get 2 dice to roll. And then I would normally flip a terror card, but they are gone, which means the finale is revealed, which is the Butcher Bloodlust, which means he gets a lot more things to do on his turn, which is not very helpful to me. But that also does mean his turn is over. Panic phase. Someone did die, but there's no one left to panic. Upkeep phase. There's no one close enough to come towards him, which means it is back round to the action phase. I've now got full time, which means now I survived that round, which I didn't think I would. I've got 6 time. I can spend 6 to do a critical blow and hopefully roll 2 stars and get 3 damage on him. Yes! 2 stars! Which means I do 3 damage to him plus the bat. So I get to do 4 damage. Also reduces the horror. So 1, 2, 3, 4 damage to him. So he has now only got 6 health left. We are almost equal in health. Have we got anything else I can hit him with? Nope. I also have no time. A short rest costs me nothing. I might try it, just try and get my last bit of health back. So I've got full health. It was nothing. Oh no, I didn't look at that. Okay, so I got a failed roll, which means I do get my health back, but the horror level goes up, time goes down, my go is over immediately. So at least I get my health. Horror goes up, which doesn't affect me too badly. Time goes down, which means it ran out anyway, so my go would have been over, but that card ends my go anyway. Right, planning phase. I've got no time, so I can't purchase anything. I can take the freebies though, because they have 0 cost. These ones go back. Critical blow goes back. And reset time. I have no direct attacks, just retaliation. So I can't really do anything. I can walk away, but that's not really helpful. Can't really attack. Okie doke. I have weak attack. Didn't realise I had that. It's hiding. So I got 1 star, which means I do 1 damage, but I also lose a health. But I've got the bat, which means I do 2 damage. So he loses 2, I lose 1. Ah dear, it's close actually. He has now only got 4 health left. I don't want to say I might win, it's very unlikely still, because he can damage for 4. And I've got things that can help with the attacks. Okay, I'm going to leave that. Might go over. Can I purchase anything useful? Oh, actually I can purchase critical blow again, so I've still got 6 time, so I'll do that. And that will go back here. I'll still going to purchase that one. Okay, reset time. So killer phase resolves. Right, he has now got new abilities, which means on his turn now, Bloodlust goes up, which is now makes it at maximum. So he does 5 damage per knife attack. Means he targets whoever's closest, which is me. He'll walk closely. He'll walk towards them if they're not next to him, and he will do 1 damage, 1 attack. His 1 attack does 5 damage. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 health. So that's not great. He is attacking, but I have the retaliate card. It'll cost me 4 time, which is fine. 1, 2, 3, 4. All I need is to get 2 stars to ignore all damage, or 1 star reduces the attack by 2, which means I will still just about survive at 1 star. So I reduced the attack by 2, so he did 5. So here he just what am I doing? Just 3 attacks to me, 3 damage to me rather. I also hit him back in retaliation for 1. So he has 3 health, I have 2 health. That was very close. Go over. Panic phase, no problem to panic, upkeep, no death wish people nearby. I have 2 time left. That's not very helpful, because now I have my action turn, but I used 4 time on that go, which means I start my next round with only 2 time, which means I can't use my critical blow, which would require 6, and I have no other means to attack in my cards, which quite frankly means I'm probably gonna die in this next turn. Ah, dearie me. Okay, all I've got is a guard. All I've got and hope for is that I can guard when he attacks me next. So that's my turn over. Can I purchase anything useful for 2? Not really. Particularly guard, but I don't think it'll last long enough. I can take my 3 weak attacks, but my action turn is over, which means it is now the killer's phase. Oh wait, reset time now because I've gone through that. Killer phase. Bloodlust goes up. Because it's maximum, it triggers this. It means Hans recovers 1 heart. And discard the next tarot card, but there isn't any. So now he's got a bit more health. He targets me, he walks towards me, he's close. He does 1 attack, which is 5 damage. I've only got 2 health left, so I can play the guard card for 2. Right, if I get 2 stars on my dice, I ignore all damage. If I get 1, I reduce it by 2, which isn't going to help because he's hitting me for 5. I got 1 star. I reduced the damage by 2. He's hit me for 5. Reduced it by 2. He's going to hit me for 3. I've only got, I'll move the camera, you can see what happens. I only got 2 health left. But because it's the last one, I get to flip it, and because he's killed me. I get to flip this and see if I'm really dead. It's blank. Oh, dang it. I died. He got me. It was close though, bloody close. Would he have come back if I killed him? He had this card, and if I flipped it over, he would have come back with 1 health. So even if I did kill him, he would have sprung back up. Weakly, but he would have come back. I don't. I died. I saved 2 people though. But the envelope with Riker's name on it will remain closed for now. That was a good close game. So, hope you enjoyed this. It's probably a bit of a longer video than anticipated, but I'll try and refine these as I go. Let me know if you like long videos anyway, or not. Or maybe I'll just do highlights or reviews, and maybe 1 round of the game rather than a fullish playthrough. But anyway, that was Final Girl. And this final girl died. See you next time.